We're back.
It's your mom, friends. I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Jess. And today we are honoring May being Mental Health Awareness Month. We are dedicating this episode to opening up about an honest, needed conversation just for the moms. Behind the routines, the responsibilities, and the constant giving, there are real emotions that often go unspoken. In this episode, we talk about what mental health actually looks like in motherhood, not just the extreme cases, but the everyday overwhelm, the quiet anxiety, the emotional exhaustion, and the pressure to hold it all together. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, stretched thin, or like you lost a piece of yourself, this conversation's for you. And if you know a mom who needs this reminder, please send it her way. First, I would like to open up and say I'm so happy to have you back because I missed you. But I also want to give you a shout out because we are champion taking care of yourself, and you have to be able to prioritize you and yourself so you can show up well for your family. And your family needed you, and you did just that. And as people, we've talked, you and I, about struggling to say no sometimes, and it's
Mhm.
hard. Feel like we're letting people down, or the guilt that then comes with having to re schedule commitments and things like that, and you did it, and you did it so that you could show up well for your family, and guess what? All went well, right? I think we expect the worst when we have to prioritize other things, and I would love to have Jimmy on the podcast because I kept thinking to myself, I really want Chrissy's perspective on this. I really want, because you just bring such a different outlook than I do, and so, I missed you. I'm happy to have you back, but I'm super proud of you for being there and being exactly who you needed for your family who needed you.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be back, and I missed you as well. And I was devastated initially to have to miss one of our recordings, and my family needed me, and that's what came first. And so, no questions asked. And when I reached out to you, Jess, and said, "Hey, I'm in a bit of a conundrum. The only thing that's keeping me here is the fact that we're recording, but I really want to be at the hospital where I belong." And you said, "Then go to the hospital." So thank you for understanding and really just being there for me through that time. And I have to say, you and Jimmy did a fantastic job. I loved listening to that episode, and having him part of that conversation, hearing his side was pretty cool. And so I think I was exactly where I needed to be, and you were exactly where you needed to be with your husband to share your story, which was very powerful. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving me grace in the space to be able to do what I need to do. And I'm excited to be back today.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. It was a cool episode. I will say, I told him when he was done, we have to work on your podcast skills because I want to have you back. I think it's important to have the guys episode, but he was a little man of few words, which is so not him because he is a chatty Cathy. And so I laughed. I was like, we have to work on your podcast skills because you have to come back. But he did a great job. And I totally put him on a spot. I was like, hey, I need you to come do this with me. And so I thought he did well. And it was cool hearing his kind of perspective on things. And so we had fun with it. It's something that I've wanted to share for a long time. I get a lot of questions a lot. And so to be able to put it in one place and to be like, hey, there's an episode you can go listen to was cool too. So, which I think rolling into, you said to me, hey, it's May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and let's do an episode on mental health awareness. And I said I could talk about this stuff all day. I don't think that there is enough emphasis on mental health and how it affects moms, how it affects parents as a whole, how it affects couples, because we get in this just go, go, go. Like life takes over and we just kind of are along for the ride. And unfortunately, it takes a toll and we just chalk it up to like that's life. This is the next phase. This is what happens when you have kids and get married and have kids and like life beats you up. And unfortunately, there's not enough talk. Like, I didn't go through high school having any kind of conversations around, like, taking care of your mental health or, it was if we were talking about, like, health in health class, it was all physical health. It's important to
Mhm.
move your physical body, which we know affects our mental health, but there was no talk about, like, the correlation of moving your body and the benefits to your mental health. There was no talk about anxiety. To be honest with you, for the longest time, I thought anxiety was BS. I would literally tell you that because I'm sure I heard it somewhere. Now, looking back, I grew up with crippling anxiety. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's not normal. Like, people don't have these conversations in their brain over and over again. They don't worry about this stuff. Like it wasn't until I was an adult that I like was like, oh my gosh, anxiety is very real. And I have it in alarming like quantities because it wasn't something I was learned. We didn't talk about it. And I just when you know better, you could do better, right? And we're moving into a generation that does talk about mental health. I do feel like that we struggle with the stigmas and the shame that comes with saying like, "Hey, I'm a mom who struggles with this," because we as moms don't want to feel like we're defeated by something or that we can't do something, something's out of our control. And I think that opening up this podcast, opening up this conversation, saying, no, this is something we're talking about. This is real. Moms feel this. And guess what? There's something that do have control of, something that we can control and do about it.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. If you don't know, you don't know. So you were experiencing crippling anxiety, but you didn't know that what that was. You didn't know that wasn't normal. You didn't have a label for it. So until you're not experiencing that level of anxiety, you don't know any better. The truth is for all the other disorders too, right? Depression, it's the same thing. If you feel sluggish and tired and you don't want to do anything and you're not engaging with the people that you typically, interact with, you're not doing the things that you enjoy, those types of things. If that's your norm, you don't really know anything different. So I think that that awareness piece is super important. And then that stigma as well is like, what are people going to think of me if I admit to this? What are people going to think of me? They see me walking into the mental health clinic. What are people going to think of me if they see me at the pharmacy picking up meds? Are they going to assume it's for whatever? Like all of the things that come with that stigma. And so people tend to suffer in silence. And then that just continues to fester. And then we're dealing with it alone. And I've always said that words, thoughts lose their power when we say them out loud. And so if we take those ruminating thoughts that we have in our head that you talked about, Jess, with the anxiety that you experience, if you get them out of your head and you talk about it with someone, they lose their power. And then you maintain control. You get your control back, you get your power back, and you can decide what to do with those thoughts. And then when you know better, you can do better. So it's really interrupting those patterns. But if you don't know, you can't do anything about it. So it's
Right.
bringing awareness for yourselves, for your loved ones, for your kids, for your coworkers, really like helping lift people up and help people recognize things that they might not recognize in themselves, I think is super important.
Because looking back, like I was never in a crisis situation where that I think we think like all or nothing. Like it's either
Mhm,
full blown crisis mode or it's just us. It's just overwhelm. It's just exhaustion. It's just the way I was wired. It's the way I operate. I'm just these are all things that are just who I am. But it just doesn't have to be this all or nothing. It's not crisis mode or nothing. It's the day-to-day thoughts, the emotions, the stress we carry and how we let it affect us. It's all of these things and normalizing that it doesn't mean that something's wrong with us. It means that our body's trying to like tell us that something needs to get addressed. And had I known, it's easy to say what would I also was, 17, 18, 20, early 20s, and I was making decisions and I was making them from a place of extreme anxiety, extreme overwhelm.
mhm,
Like I wasn't thinking clearly because I was letting my anxiety, if I do this, are they going to be mad at me? So therefore I would do something because I didn't want
mhm,
somebody mad. They need me. I can't say no. These are all things that ultimately played a factor in, my marriage, the way I mommed, the way I worked, where I worked, what I like, all of these things played a factor because I was listening to the anxious thoughts in my head instead of thinking clearly. Never once did I think that I was battling some mental illness. I didn't
mhm,
even cross my mind because when I think mental illness, I think crisis mode. I think
mhm,
people in severe crisis, and that was never me. And so I want moms and I want families and couples and just I want people to understand that these anxious thoughts, the constant overwhelm, the stress that we deal with and have on our plate absolutely are affecting our mental health, even if it
mhm,
doesn't look like a full blown because you may be making decisions for your family, for your relationship, for your just, anything in life, you're making these decisions, but where is it coming from? Are they coming from anxious thoughts? Are they coming from overwhelm? Are they coming from burnout? Like, where are these coming from? And that's your mental health.
Think so much of what you said is so true, Jess. I think one of the things that I think about too is our brain is not fully developed until we're in our mid to late 20s. And so the part of our brain that's responsible for rational thinking, decision making, executive functioning skills is not fully developed. And now there's research saying until your early 30s. And so when you don't have a fully developed brain and you're experiencing anxiety, depression, or whatever the case may be, that's a lot. That's a lot. And so it's really not having shame associated with that and asking for help. If that's the biggest thing that I think I would preach today is ask for help when you need it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling sad, and everybody gets sad, that's part of all of these feelings, emotions are a part of everyday life. When it becomes to the point where it's impacting your ability to function on a day-to-day basis, that's when it's important to say, hey, something's not right. Maybe I should ask for help. And if that person doesn't have the ability to ask for help, being that voice for someone, I think is super important. There's mental health first aid courses out there that I would encourage people to go through if they haven't. There's some focused on adults, some focused on youth, but really knowing the signs, what to look for when someone is struggling, especially when someone is struggling with suicidal thoughts. Like being aware of that and how to navigate that is really important. And that's part of this whole mental health awareness is when you know something, do something about it. When you see something, say something. And I think instead of making like it bigger than what it needs to be, sometimes we feel like if I ask for help, it's going to impact so many other areas of my life. It's going to impact my work. It's going to impact my family. It's going to impact all the things. But when you boil it down to what's really important, what do you need to be able to function at your best self?
Mhm.
What do you need to function every day? That's all that matters. Because when you get what you need to function, then you can do what you need to do in other areas of your life. But if you don't get the help that you need to be able to function to your best of abilities, you struggle. Your family struggles, your work struggles. So at the end of the day, you matter, your kids matter, your family matters. And in order for your family to thrive, you also need to thrive. So it's really important to understand it's okay to ask for help. Don't worry about what people think because at the end of the day, it's you that matters. And I think that's the biggest part for me is being able to really stress the importance of getting help.
I wrote down, I love that you said, what do you need to function and function well?
Mm.
I, again, will say that moms struggle with a comparison piece, a control piece, feeling like we have to have this persona of that we have it all together and we're doing it well and our kids are doing great and our marriages are thriving and our homes are wonderful and we do all the things and we be all the things for everybody. And God forbid we ask for help. God forbid we say, we're struggling. God forbid we put up boundaries and say, I can't do this and do it well, because what is that going to do to our persona? What is that going to do to the people looking at us on it? What are they going to say? How are they going to treat us? And I think that fear of judgment, that the comparison culture, the social media piece that we talk about constantly, the pressure to be like the glue that holds the family together and not even realizing that we are being destructive by having these thoughts, by having
Mhm.
these unrealistic standards that we're setting for ourselves. And I know that when I went to therapy, I hired mental health coaches. I swarmed myself with people, and I felt like I didn't want to tell anybody
Mhm.
because what are you going to therapy for? Like, that seems like a little much. You know what I mean? Like, there's just this stigma. Like, who are the people that go to therapy and what are they going for and what do they need? Like, I'm not one of those people. I don't need that. Like, why not? Why are we
Yeah.
not speaking our mental health? Why are we not sitting on a cozy couch and being like, I'm struggling with this. Why is that not the norm? I would love for these types of behaviors, a mental health coach, like working with somebody on, creating goals and what you want your life to look like and how to get there and accountability. Like, that's good. That is all good. And we fear growth as bad or change as bad. But when we start making decisions that, like you said, help you function better, help you function your best, I would preach it from the mountaintop.
Mhm.
I start telling everybody, go to
Mhm.
therapy. Probably should. It's a huge help. I love it. I love her. I love what we talk about. I feel better. Coaches, I love working with coaches. I still to this day work with coaches. I love
Mhm,
feeling like you have an outlet because life is tough. You're going to be hit with a lot of life. And if you are not mentally in a place that you can get through it, think clearly through it, make decisions that are going to help accelerate this, not make the situation worse, but help just be an anchor in the situation. If we're not taking care of our mental health, when things come, they can take us out.
mm,
And this is we've been there. Like I've lived through life taking me out and having to crawl my way back because my mental health was not in a place where I was capable of going through hard situations and doing it well and doing it with
mhm,
a and doing it by making, choices or, choices that helped me, my family, my, just all encompassed as one. Like you said, you have to make choices that are what's best for you. It cannot be what you think others, what are make choices based off of fear, out of shame, all those things. If you are struggling, and struggling can look like just the day-to-day stress, just the added anxiety, just the overwhelm feeling like I say it all the time. There was a time in life where I felt like I was trying to breathe underwater. If you feel like you can't just take a full breath or like life is beating you up, that is a sign that you should start talking and thinking about your mental health. That
mhm.
and I'd hate to even get to that point where that's like the first sign. Like there are signs. Chrissy and I did a little research before we hopped on this call, and around 1 in 5 adults experience any mental illness in this past year. 1 in 20 adults experience serious mental illness in the past year. This is the scary one for me. 1 in 5 youth have a mental health condition, with anxiety being the most common condition. Globally, about 35% of mental illness emerges by age 14, and nearly 63% appearing by age 25. And in 2023, 20% of high school students in the US considered suicide. Like, this is a topic that we have to be talking about.
It really is, and I think there's certain things that you said, Jess, like going to therapy or getting a coach, super helpful. Therapy will help you unpack past traumas. It's more clinical. There's a diagnosis associated with that work if you're paying with insurance. Coaching is really forward thinking, like how do I get to the next step? What do I want to do? How do I get there? What are the barriers for me getting there now? How do I break those down? Those types of things. However, if therapy and coaching is not where you're at right now, that's okay too. What is within your control to shift something small within your environment? Can you move your body? Can you drink more water? Can you maybe commit to not saying yes to everything? Maybe, commit to saying no at least one time a day. I don't know. Are you people pleasing? Are you perfectionist? What are the types of things that you might struggle with that you can build some awareness around and start shifting? Because I think when we start shifting those patterns, naturally we feel better as well. Again, therapy, counseling, sometimes medication too can help, not for everybody. Um, and it is an option for people who could potentially benefit from it. Obviously, after speaking with your doctor or psychiatrist, it's just thinking of like other ways to impact your mental health to improve your quality of life and your ability to function on a day to day basis. And again, I'm going to go back to asking for help if you need it and giving a voice to someone who can't ask for help. That's what the awareness piece is all about for me, is if really building a community around people, helping people make it so they don't feel alone, right? People want to feel seen, heard, and valued. And if you can be that for at least one person, the world will be a place, right? We need to be able to step up and step in for people who can't do it for themselves. We need to be the people to help hold their hands and get them to the help that they need. Give them a safe space to talk, access emergency support if that's needed. Know how to do that. 988 is a national suicide hotline. Assisting that if you need it. Those types of things are important. If you don't know about it, it's a simple Google search. We'll put some resources in the show notes too for folks if you want to look at the research we looked at or any other resources on this topic. We'll make sure in the show notes too, because I really think knowledge is power. And we need to equip ourselves in our communities with that knowledge so we can build support systems for everybody and anybody, and especially our
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I would love your thoughts on how do we, I mean, that's an alarming number. 1 in 5 youth have a mental health condition, with anxiety being the most common, and then
Mhm.
20% of high school students considering suicide. I mean, what are one, what do you think are some deep-rooted issues as to why this is? And how do you think us as parents, I mean, because my I think that if you have parents who are struggling, how do you help kids,
Mhm.
right? We have to like take care of, we have to root ourselves and help ourselves first so that we can help these kids. But I'd love your thoughts on, what is it that we can do for these youth?
Well, and I think it's generational patterns. And so oftentimes parents are doing the best they can with what they have, considering their background and their current circumstances. I think parents are parenting in a generation that they've never experienced before. Social media, phones, everything. Like, even when I was in high school, I graduated in 2000 and I didn't have a cell phone in high school. All of my bad decisions in high school are not documented. We didn't have a phone, we didn't have social media, we didn't do anything. So, like, in that sense. So it's like I'm parenting, my kiddos in a way that I never experienced before. So I think we're all learning together. We're doing the best we can with what we have. And once we know better, we can do better. I think people's own mental health get in their way of being able to be the parents that they want to be. Past trauma, poverty, all the things that maybe substance use, all the things that might impact someone's ability to function and therefore parent. Okay. So that's, I think it's a very complex issue. And then genetics, of course, with mental health, if it runs in the family, those types of things. What we can do about it is protective factors. Be a support for someone. Be active in your community. Help kids sign up for sports and extracurricular activities. Keep their brains and their bodies active off of social media and devices all the time. Build them up. Make sure they feel seen, heard, and valued. Those are all important. It's important for us. It's important for our youth. Helping them find their purpose and really learning about intrinsic value, right? That internal validation as opposed to external validation. When someone is always striving for someone else's opinion of themselves, that's hard. And it gets harder as you get older. And you can never really feel fulfilled. And you're always chasing after that external validation. Let's teach the kids how to appreciate and respect themselves and not always be looking for it outside of themselves. And safety around social media. How do we keep kids safe on social media? How do we set up parameters? And the older they get, the more difficult it is. And of course, then they get their license and then they have a level of freedom that we don't even know what to do with, right? And especially if you're a first time parent of a teenage driver, you have no idea what you're in for, and you're just doing the best you can with what you have. It's hard. And that's why I say asking for help as a parent and getting help for your kids, finding themselves with supportive people, trusted adults outside of the home. Because if your child is having a hard day, I can guarantee you my 14-year-old is having a hard day or it's a boy issue or a friendship issue, as close as we are, she would go to her adult sister before she would come to me. So make sure that
Mm.
kiddos have that safe, trusted adult outside of the parents because quite honestly, there are going to be some conversations they do not want to talk to their parents about. So let's set them up for success instead of them feeling like they have no one to go to and now they're internalizing everything and they're not talking about it and it's eating them alive, A, or B, they're talking about it with someone that's not healthy for them. So it's
And
building that
and
support system.
right, right. And it's on us to build that support system,
Yeah.
and who are the, because they're gonna go to somebody regardless. And it's our job to put in place somebody who's going to instill in them the same values and things that we would want them if they were to come to us. And if they're not doing that, then they're gonna go to somebody who's gonna give them whatever kind of advice they're willing to get. Like, there is a piece that comes with taking ownership or understanding that feelings aren't always facts. And, as somebody who's like a recovering people pleaser and somebody who's gone through anxiety, that's something that really helps me stay rooted in my decisions because it's very easy to spiral, after I've made a
Mhm.
choice. Was this the right choice? Is this? And it's easy to spiral, but there is a sense of peace and a weight that's lifted when we're able to differentiate between making the right choice and knowing it and not letting emotions or anxiety control that and make us question whether or not we're right or wrong.
Mhm.
I think that there's a piece of taking ownership and understanding that we can't control everything, but we can control how we support ourselves, how we support our families. Shifting from something like, why do I feel like this or why is this happening to me? Or and really looking at like, what do I need right now? Like life is throwing punches, and what do I need to be able to look at this and get through it? Which is, kind of taking, like you had said, like empowerment, empowering ourselves, empowering our kids to not look for all that external validation, but really like get to know ourselves. And that's something that we preach here. Like you have to be able to you have to have a good relationship with yourself. You have to love yourself, take care of yourself, understand how your brain works, understand how you operate, what you need in order to be the best version of you for the people around you, for your kids, for your family. And I don't think that we put enough value. We're always looking for that next home run that's going to help us feel our best, be our best, do it all. And we don't put enough value on just like putting sunshine on your face, breathing in some fresh air, putting your feet in the grass, drinking enough water, getting 8 hours of sleep. Don't scroll on your phone, putting your phone down like altogether, just having some like being actually present around your family or with your kids or just by yourself, like sit with your thoughts. I read something the other day that was like, if you were just to sit, no phone, no TV, nothing on, how long would you be able to last? And it's interesting. Like we are constantly looking for some kind of entertainment, something. We can't just sit with our thoughts.
It's so true, and when you were saying, like, the external validation piece, I mean, there's so and I'm guilty of this too. You post something and then you, like, wait for all the likes to come in. Like, you want people to like your post. You want
Right.
people to share your post. You're looking for that external validation, right? And then when it falls flat or you don't get it, and then it's like that internal, well, what did I do wrong? Do they not like my stuff? Are they, you know what I mean? So like that piece too, and that's the world we live in. It's a digital world. And so there's so much of what we do every day that is dependent upon what people think.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and we're like it's literally being drilled into.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a addiction that is
Hmm.
actively being created on a daily basis in the
Hmm.
world. You have kids,
Hmm.
kids on there who are that's it's gonna become a part of who they are, and you're right, and it's like,
Hmm.
I delete it because I got, like, 3 likes,
Right.
That's not normal. What's happened? What did I do? Do people not like me? Are they not saying me? You can go down this whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're chasing the followers, you're chasing the likes. It's like you're losing sight of what is really important. And I think that's what this helps me remind, and I'm guilty of it too. So I think it helps remind, like really drilling down what's important, what matters to me right now, what will impact me right now and my family right now. And getting 20 likes, 100 likes, 1,000 likes on my post is not going to impact me or my family in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, and then when I do get those likes and then I post something else and I don't get them, then it's like that tug of war. Like I was really good the other day and I'm not good enough now. And so I really feel like personally for me and my mental health, putting away social media, setting up parameters around it for myself will help. So going back, and I know we're probably coming to an end of this episode, but going back to what you said, Chess, is like really figuring out what will work for you. But I think awareness is first, like identifying like what am I struggling with? And then is therapy the right road for you? Is coaching the right road for you? Is medication the right road for you? Or is it just simply habits, changing
Right.
your habits? Because it could be something like you said, touching the grass, putting the sun on your face. I have a sun lamp at work that I put on for the kids because in northern New Hampshire, we live in the dark a lot. The sun sets really, really early and, it's a thing. So really being intentional with your habits is important as well and can really help shift your mental health.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely think that it is completely undervalued. And if we want to, I want, like you said, the awareness to
Mm.
first understanding that there is something you can do. Feeling these feelings does not have to be your daily life. This does not have to be it. There is something that you can do to take control, to really address this
Mm.
anxiety fear and overwhelm and overstimulation. These are all things that, nervous system, our body's trying to tell us something. What's going on is not really working. And what are the things that we can control? And putting a huge value on not running on caffeine. Not, understanding what are some things that are impacting our mental health and are negatively impacting our body and really just learning, like becoming a detective around your body. You know that if you
Yeah.
scroll at night, you don't get good sleep. Okay, well, that's now awareness. We now have awareness for this, and we can create space for change when we become aware of something. If you drink
Mhm.
coffee, Next thing you know, your heart's racing 100 miles an hour. Maybe we should lay off the coffee. Like it's just becoming aware of how our body operates to what we're putting in it and really start to placing more value on doing the things that help calm our nervous system, calm the anxiety, calm the different things, because there is pieces of it that we can take control of that I just don't think it's work. And I think that sometimes we struggle with putting in that work, changing our habits, changing our routines. It's hard. You're right, but if your body could positively benefit from it, why not? Why not
Mhm.
give it is your job to take care of yourself. That's your job because we're teaching our family how to take care of themselves by how we take care of ourselves. So if we want to raise a generation of kids who are mentally healthy, not this 1 in 5, they're learning how to care for themselves by how we care for ourselves. Do we
Mhm.
emphasize sleep with them? Do we emphasize drinking water? Do we emphasize playing outside with no shoes on? Or are we putting screens in front? Like just thinking about our habits and how they affect us, and knowing that not only are the kids' habits affecting them, but our habits are affecting our kids as well, because that's what they're learning from.
Yeah, and as we come to a close, I just want to remind our listeners of 988. If you need to talk, the 988 line is available. You can call, you can text. It doesn't have to be a crisis, but that's definitely a line you can call in crisis as well. And they can connect you to someone that can support. And if you know someone that needs that support, definitely lead them down that road as well. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on Mom, Fuel, and Mindset. If today's conversation spoke to you, take it as a reminder that happy moms don't come from doing more. They come from choosing themselves and owning their growth.
And if you loved this episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another mom who needs a little fuel and a mindset shift today.
Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, keep growing forward, and remember, happy moms own their growth.
See you soon.